Good morning. This is from Vijayakumar, Department of Physics. I am taken from today's another one topic of environmental science. The topic is a producer, consumer and decomposer. It based on the ecosystem of first unit. So the first we discuss what is producer. The producer it's a form of photosynthesis organisms. Producer are any kind of green plant. So all the green plant is form of producer because they creating a food, taking in sunlight and using for the energy to make a sugar. The plant using this sugar, also called as a glucose, to make and mad things such as wood, leaves, roots and bake pork an example for producers. Then second category is a consumer. Any organism that cannot make its own food, that is a consumer. So the first one is a producer, this is becomes a consumer. So the consumer is feed of producer or other consumer to survive. Example, the deer are herbivores, which means that they only eat plants. That means a producer. But bears are another example of consumer. Black bears are omnivorous and scavengers. Consumer in a forest, consumer are in three main types. One is in a primary consumer, secondary consumer, then tertiary consumers. The primary is a herbivores which feeds directly on producer. Example, ant, bug, spider, etc. The large animals such as elephant, deer, giraffe, etc. The secondary consumer, these are carnivorous and feed on a primary consumers. For an example, bird, lizard, frogs, snakes, etc. Then third category is a tertiary consumer. There are secondary carnivores and feed on a secondary consumers. This including in a top carnivores like lion, tiger, etc. The next one is in a decomposers. So this becomes a third category. One is a producer, consumer and decomposers. So when a decomposer to form of an organism that primary feeds on dead organisms or the waste from living organisms. The decomposers are the garbage men of the animal kingdom. They take all the dead animals and plants and break them down into the neutral components. So finally it's make a form of decomposing materials. So this is clear example I am mentioning from this PPT. One is a producer, consumer and decomposer. To the form of clear picture wise. The next one I give some another example to the form of producer, consumer and decomposer to the form of different categories. For an example, the primary, then secondary, producer and decomposer is a form of interrelationship to get this all the three types of categories that I mentioned from this diagram. So we discussed from the lack of decomposer might causes and increasing the number of producers. It's definitely to the form of decomposers, and increasing the number of consumer, it also to the form of some decomposers. A decrease in the number of producers, a decrease in the number of consumers. So these all the factor to the effect from in the lack of decomposer in our earth, because the decomposer is in a very important role to the form of this category, because without decomposers the producer and the consumer it become affected. So thank you very much to discuss from this topic to clearly listen here. Thank you. We discuss in another one topic in next videos.